Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Frank here, working on the Cub Cadet mini-dozer. Last episode we started fabricating the attachments to the blade, and we're going to continue on that in this episode. We've got a number of parts to fabricate. If you missed last episode, here's where we are right now. Got the blade assembled here. We've got the stabilizer arm fabricated and ready to attach. This end's attached. This end is not attached yet. We'll attach that. And then we've got three other attachment points to fabricate and install. I got a couple shipments over the past week. These are hydraulic cylinders, and this one is going to be for the blade angle. This is one of the two for the frame lift, the lower lift arms. I need to order another one. I ordered the cylinders I ordered were too long, so I ordered two 20-inch cylinders, and I think they're going to be, I think I've decided to, my original plan was to install these with a collar and let the collar pivot, but I've come up with, I think, a much simpler and more robust attachment method. So I'm going to drop back to a different cylinder length, which is this one, which is about 16 inches. I've got one. I need to order another one. I've done that. I did that last night, so that'll come. But that'll allow us to make progress. I got the lower lift arm attachment. I call them attachment points. They're swivel eyes, so they came. So these are for category 1 connections. It's a 7/8 inch bore. So these will get welded to the ends of the attachment lower arms that we're going to cut out, and so we'll fabricate the arms out of these. So I've been waiting for these for a couple of weeks. Farmer Bob's tractor parts. I think they had to order them from their supplier and then ship them, but they did FedEx them to me, so they came. They tried to speed things up. All right. So we're going to cut some parts out on the plasma table, and then we'll come back to fabricate some attachment points and weld up the lower lift arms. Alright, so those are the parts for the additional swiveling connectors. Actually, I probably have some extras there. Don't need this many, but cut them out fine. Alright, so this is what it looks like coming off of the plasma table. The first one, I was basically able to knock out of the, it's a lot of dross. All right, looks like there's a small spot where it didn't quite finish, or I stopped it too soon. I think I can take care of that with the grinder. I think the dross comes off pretty easily here. I did have an issue cutting out one of the lower lift arms, but it was of my own making. I didn't have this piece, I wanted to cut this out of the center, so I didn't have the piece of stock properly aligned on the table. So when it came down, it pierced fine here, came down, cut around here, and then came off the edge of the metal. And of course, you lose the arc when that happens, and it shuts down. So it was my fault for not having this properly aligned, so I had to go cut another piece and put it on. But at least was able to do it. I was surprised at how well it pierced. I was running 1.8 seconds pierce delay and 15 inches per minute. At one point I was up to 17 inches per minute, but I think 15 inches per minute is a little safer. So I did get two lower lift arms cut out. So I'm going to clean these up, and then we'll weld the swivel eyes to the ends and test them out on the tractor. So we'll clean these up. All right, and that's the swivel eye that gets welded into that opening. Alright, so I just tacked this arm up. Let's check the fit. Alright, I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. Now let's tack up the other one. Alright, so it looks like the lower lift arm fits fine between the thrust bracket and the mount, blade mount. Alright, so I've got them tacked together. Alright. Before we weld them up completely, we'll finish all the other attachment points and make sure everything is working before we, finalize the connections there. Alright, while you weren't looking, I have made some more progress here on the blade attachment. I made several more attachment points. I didn't film that. I didn't record that since you've already seen it in the last episode. So I've got the tilt cylinder attached here. Made an attachment point which clamps around this bar, has a pivot, cylinder, another pivot. This one's tack welded to the top of the blade frame. We looked last time we were working on this stabilizer bar. I've got the attachment point down here tacked to the frame. It doesn't need to rotate. This is one that rotates. Then I've got the blade angle cylinder. Got a attachment point tack welded back here. It doesn't need to pivot. This blade will only move in on one axis. And I've got this attachment point tack welded here to the blade, and the cylinder is basically fully extended here, and when it's completely pulled in to its shortest length, the blade pivots in the other direction an equal amount. Alright, got the lower support arms with the swivel eyes tacked on in position, and I'm working on positioning the lift cylinder for the two lower support arms. And I've got the approximate position right here. I've got it just a clamp holding it on the support arm, and I've got the eye location marked here on the brush guard. So I'm going to drill two holes, one on this side, one on the other side, 3/4 inch. We're going to put 3/4 inch bolts through here, and they're going to stick out a couple inches or inch and a half, and that will support the top end of the cylinder. And we'll do the same thing down on these lower support arms. So we'll take this out and we'll drill the holes here on the mill. The holes here we'll drill with the mag drill. So we'll get I may add a spacer here to hold the top of this cylinder away a little bit. It actually would work fine close. I put a spacer here. I just don't want it to interfere with these nuts, the heads of these bolts, but I think the way it's set up here, I purposely put it between the two so that it wouldn't interfere. So bolted down here, I have to tighten that up. We'll put a linch pin through here, and then that I have another cylinder like this on order. I only got one in this size. I'd expected to use this for the blade angle, but I found I could use a shorter one. So basically, the blade angle was cylinder that's there. I was going to use for the lift cylinder, the tilt cylinder, but I found I could actually use the shorter cylinders, and I had ordered longer ones for here. But these cylinders are a good length. So that gives me all of the cylinder locations, and you know, there's just a couple of minor things I need to do. I'll put some spacers here on each side to keep this from sliding back and forth. Same with down here. I'll probably just get some 3/4 inch collars, shaft collars. They'll fit in there nicely, and that way I can remove them or add them as I see necessary. I think nothing will interfere when it tilts or rotates. So this cylinder will tilt the whole blade assembly up on these two pins. If I raise the pins up, I can push this down, and that'll angle the blade more into the dirt. I can lift one side and not the other, and that will tilt the blade so it'll dig more on one end than the other. Of course, this cylinder angles the blade. So I've got all of the hydraulic functions in terms of cylinder placement worked out here. Got one other thing I want to try to do in this episode, and that's finish up the control valve installation. Last time I left it with a little bit of wobble. These support plates have a little too much more movement than I would like, so I actually made a brace. So let's go ahead and put that on. All right, that stiffens that up completely. All right, so that wraps up another thrilling episode in the saga of Frank and his Cub Cadet bulldozer. We've got all the cylinders set up here. There's some more welding when we're sure about the connection points, but I think they're all good. Need to weld the thrust bracket completely. And next step is to start measuring for the hydraulic hoses, and it won't be long before everything here will be working. So we'll come back next week measuring for some hydraulic hoses and maybe finalizing some of these connection points. I think as long as we can verify everything moves appropriately, we can go ahead and weld off the connection points, finalize those. Matter of running some hydraulic hoses. Got to take apart part of the tractor to do that. And we got Brutus came in to check up on me, as he does every so often. So what you been doing outside, Brutus? What you been doing? Been just relaxing, not causing any trouble. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Yeah. All right. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.